Okay, well, thanks for clicking onto this video. If it's something that you're interested in, hopefully this will answer a few questions for you. So why am I making this? This video is about a Savage 110, and it's specifically the 110 Ultralight. I've owned a Savage in the past. It was also a 110. It was in 243, and it was just a basic plastic blued Savage. I bought that gun back in like 2012 or 13. I think it was the first centerfire rifle I ever bought, and I learned how to reload with it. And that 243 was honestly a pretty great gun. It was good for the money. I don't even think I paid $700 for it with a scope back then. And I shot a whole bunch of coyotes with it, a couple bears. I never took a deer with that gun. There actually is a story about that. I missed a really nice buck on the second last day of the season with that rifle, and it wasn't the gun's fault. It was just the caliber, and I was only hunting with that rifle because another scope I had failed. Long story short, I got rid of it shortly after that because it pissed me off. But fast forward over a decade, and here I am with another Savage. And I never thought I would ever actually buy another Savage. I've never been a Savage guy. I mean, there's so many other rifles to buy on the market. And Savages, they've always known to shoot, which is good, and I think a lot of them do shoot. Like, I've shot one of my friends, he's had quite a few Savages now at this point. In particularly, he had a LRP, long range precision Savage, in a 260 Remington, and that thing was a tack driver. It would shoot tiny little bug holes. It was boring to shoot at 1,000. Really, really cool gun. But it never turned my crank. They just never been all that nice of a rifle. Like, they're a push feed gun. They're generally plastic. Nothing to write home about, essentially. But then, all of a sudden, an opportunity to buy this particular rifle comes up. And I don't want to set the precedence going into it with a bias that I don't like Savages. There's nothing wrong with them in my mind. It's like at the same price point, you just buy a Tikka. Like, the Tikkas are so much better. You know what I mean? But this particular gun, the reason why you're watching this video, so the only reason that I bought this thing is because it was way too good of a deal to not buy. And I was looking at building a semi-custom Tikka with a carbon-proof barrel because they build pre-fits for it. And I ended up not building the gun because I found a very similar gun and made some wheeling and dealing and ended up with one with an IBI carbon barrel, which is essentially what I wanted, but different manufacturer. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to firearms. I guess it's like a passion of mine. I like reloading and shooting, and as expensive as it's become, I don't get to do it as much as I would like just because of how much it hurts you every time you want to go have some fun. But this gun, MSRP's where I live, like, it's essentially a $2,000 gun Canadian. I think online, like, their American website shows them at $15.99. I've never seen one for less than $18.99 here. They generally range depending on what store you go to. Even the 3 or 4 where I live in Kamloops, BC, like in one place they might be $1,900, and the next store they'll be $2,300. So there's a pretty big price variance between who you're buying it from, it seems like. And at that price, in my mind, this gun is not worth that kind of money. I mean, it is light. They say it's going to be a 6-pound rifle, 6.2 or less sort of thing, depending on the configuration. This one has been weighed and it was close. But the only reason I ended up with this gun is because I've really always wanted to shoot a proof barrel because there's so much hype around it, and it has been ever since they came out. They're like a very lightweight carbon wrap barrel that will hold like essentially match grade accuracy. And I've always wanted one, and they turned my crank because of the mountain hunting aspect. Like, you can get this extremely rigid essential bull barrel that's wrapped in carbon that you can carry around in the mountains. Like, who wouldn't want that? So we ended up with this gun. I picked this one up for $1,103 Canadian, and it was a very specific circumstance, so I got it at a very cheap deal. So just this barrel alone from Proof right now from a distributor around here is going to be $1,450 Canadian. So I bought the entire rifle brand new in the box for less money than I could buy just the pre-fit barrel. So essentially I got the rest of the gun for free and then some. So it was a smoking deal. I saw that, instantly bought it, and it's been sitting in my safe for an entire year. Haven't touched it. But we're fast forwarding a whole year since I bought it, finally getting around to mess with it. And lo and behold, I should have taken some videos of it, and this is what's causing me to want to make this review. I'm just going to give you my experience with this gun, because there are some things that I've never seen talked about on the internet when I was doing some researching before I quickly ran and bought this thing. Let's get into it. So here's the Savage 110 Ultralight. This one in particular is in 308 Winchester, and not only I think there was 4 of them I had to choose from, and the other ones were 30-06, 270, 6.5 PRC, and I already have a 260 Ackley, so I didn't want to get a 6.5 PRC. I already own a 270, wasn't getting that. 308 and a short action with this carbon barrel as a lightweight gun was kind of the choice out of those calibers, in my opinion. It's a 22-inch barrel, which is going to give you lots of velocity out of that 308. And in my personal opinion, like, 308 is like God's caliber. Like, it is such a good hunting cartridge, and I have one in a target rifle. Extremely accurate little things. You can buy bulk components for them. They're cheap to shoot. You can get factory ammo for them everywhere. And in all honesty, the average hunting scenario is sub 300 yards, and a 308 with this barrel length is going to put you at over 1,500 foot-pounds of probably 450 meters. So that is essentially as far as I would be willing to shoot anyways for hunting purposes, just because, in my opinion, that's about the extreme limit of what I would call actual hunting. In my mind, beyond that, it's target practice. But you guys can argue about that in the comments. I've done it before both ways, and that's just my personal opinion. But regardless, the gun itself, out of the box, doesn't seem too bad. And obviously what you're seeing here is not how I got it. Actually, it was just today. I didn't film it, but I ran and picked up a set of rings for it because I just bought a scope for it yesterday, and it's coming from back east. So the build of this gun, or the thought process with it, is you can take it hunting. It's pretty light. It should shoot lights out in theory with the proof barrel from everything I've nerded on it with. And I'm going to put a 3.5 to 10 by 40 mil CDL Leopold on top. And in another video, I'm going to take this thing out and shoot it extensively and see how well this rifle shoots. Mostly it's going to be a review on the barrel, because the barrel is essentially like the heart of the gun. It is the gun. Everything attached to it. You could attach this proof barrel to almost any action, and I'm sure it'll do damn near the exact same thing. Case in point, my Tikka 308 varmint that I used for a target rifle, that gun in its factory configuration was a sub half-minute gun with the right load, and all the arguments about putting it in like a chassis. So I went and did that, and then, like, yeah, it makes it more ergonomical and it makes it heavier and it's nicer to shoot. But did that MDT chassis that I put on that thing make the gun more accurate? No. Like, not even in the slightest. Like, it gave me some ergos, it gave the gun some weight, it made it more easy to keep it on target when every time you broke a shot, you can watch your trace yourself. And it's better for like position shooting. Took a 8-pound gun, turned it into a 13-pound gun. That's just how weight works. But this gun out of the box, or even at the store before I bought it, this is why part of the reason I wanted to do this review. Kind of a nice looking gun. In the box, they do give you a whole bunch of pieces of plastic that you can change your length of pull and add cheek heights, which is cool for what it is. But in my opinion, in 2025, on a gun that's pushing like $2,200 on average, like the fact that we're still getting a super cheesy, crappy, like plastic stock on a rifle like this is mind-bending to me. Like the amount of flex that you get in this forend, I would be scared. Not that it would make a huge difference, I don't think, if it was making contact with the barrel. It might. But you were to load this thing up on a tripod, like that is no weight at all. And I'm touching the barrel with the stock. Super flimsy. The recoil pad on it is quite soft, and the ergos of the stock itself, for a bigger person like me, I'm 6'2", 250. I can shoulder this thing super comfy all day. But even before I bought this gun, the first thing I did, obviously, when you go to test out a new gun, you want to see how it feels. So I go to lift the bolt on this rifle, and I would never in a million years think that an action can be this shitty. And I say that with sincerity. Like, I took this exact gun off the shelf before I bought it, and I go to open the bolt. Obviously, this is not, or if you don't know, this is not a factory bolt handle. The factory bolt knob is sitting in here in the box somewhere. Regardless, tiny little bolt handle, you go to lift it up, and it was so stiff to cock this rifle open that it essentially would open in 3 stages. You would lift the bolt, it would go to halfway, get stuck, then it would go a little more, get stuck, and then it would break open. And then when you went to pull it back, it was like almost like the bolt was stuck in itself. And then I said, this can't be right. Hand me one of those other guns. So he hands me the other gun. Other gun off the shelf in the 30-06 model, same exact thing. Grab the 270, same exact thing. Grab the 6.5 PRC, same exact thing. And I'm like, wow, I guess nobody ever talks about this, or maybe I'm just really used to Tikkas, but these actions are extremely gritty and crappy. I was like, I guess that just is what it is. I'm going to buy it regardless because it was so cheap. So we buy it and we take it home. And first thing I do, go to my friend's house, show off this new fancy toy. He's like, wow, that was a crazy good deal. He goes to lift up the bolt, and he just looks at me with like astonishment of, that can't be right. And I was like, that's what I said. So lo and behold, I don't know if maybe that batch of guns came out of the factory with like bad tolerances or something, but this bolt was not capable of doing what I am doing right now. And the reason it was, straight out of the box, the fluting that was done on this rifle to try and save weight, it really didn't save much of anything. All it did was make the action jam like horribly bad. And I think it's in my opinion, just from measuring things with calipers, I'm pretty sure it's a tolerance issue with the diameter of the bolt and the tiny little bit of buildup on the Cerakote. So the night that I brought this rifle home, I was so frustrated because it's like, if I didn't pay the $1,100 for it and I did pay full price for this rifle, I would be wanting to take this gun back. Like, there's no way that I would have hunted with this gun. Like, it was so bad that if you applied any type of, even right now, if you applied any type of force that wasn't straight on the firing pin, this bolt would not move. So the first night, I sat there on the couch for probably the better part of an entire movie, so 2+ hours of me just running the bolt non-stop. And in my mind, I'm trying to wear out the Cerakote that's in here. Didn't lube it, just sent the bolt home. And as I was doing that, over and over and over, it starts developing scoring on various parts of the bolt. And the more that I did that, more and more and more, I started noticing that it was mostly trending on the one side and also the top, which is kind of funny. It's just how you're pushing the bolt in. So I got to thinking, like, what can I do to make this go away? And then upon like actually looking at the cutting in the flutes, they had done it. I don't know exactly how they cut these in the factory, but I would assume they stick it on a lathe with a drill bit and then they rotate it through for each flute. And I don't know if the QC on this particular bolt body was just no good, but there was legitimate like sharp raised edges on every one at a certain section of this fluting. And in 2 cases, there was actually a burr in here, which was very small, but it was enough with the Cerakote that every single time you would try and make this bolt go about halfway in, it would literally get stuck. And it was cutting its way through the Cerakote and into the action. And it was building up a legit small tolerance of metal around the whole back end of the action. I didn't really see this as a reason to send it back. And if I was to send this rifle back, it would probably take forever. Like, I don't know. I've just not had the greatest experience with like sending things away for warranty. And once I bought this thing, it's mine. So I literally just took the bolt out and sanded it with 600 grit sandpaper and until it was completely smooth, sanded away all of the rough edges on the fluting because they were extremely sharp. And when you were pushing it in, it was digging into the Cerakote like quite bad. And once I did that, I just lifted the bolt and worked the bolt back and forth for, I don't know, thousands of reps until I have now, this is a brand new gun, it's never been fired. I'll try and show you it, but I've essentially worn the Cerakote out of the action, and for the most part, like it's worn down thin enough that it's still showing little traces of black, but essentially it's just steel at this point. And once that had happened, I polished this, took it all the way up to like 3000 grit sandpaper and then gave it a polish, and now the bolt will actually function. And the bigger bolt handle does help. The bolt lift on this gun, for what it is, like it does have its little like caulking ramp in there. This is lubricated with oil, like it's not a dry bolt. And if it's uncaulked, even with the leverage of this handle, it's not the most pleasant gun to like actually open. Like I'm holding on to the forend with a bigger bolt handle, which gives me some more leverage. And it's like turning the gun over to cock this rifle. I don't know. Savages, not my thing. Haven't had one in a long time. I highly disremember that my last one was like this, and none of the guns that my friend has are like this one. This particular gun, I don't know if it's like a lemon or if it's got some weird stuff going on. Pretty crappy. Regardless though, now it's at a point that it's usable. But even that being said, with me completely sanding down all of the tolerance issues with like the bolt biting into the action and the Cerakote, wearing all the Cerakote out, it's still like, if this is uncaulked and I need to shoot this, so I hold this really firm, if I need to cock the rifle, run the bolt back, I don't know if the camera will pick that up, I hope it can, but even just the force of me like running the bolt, it's so janky and just so clunky. We took this bolt out of this rifle because I was so disappointed in it. I went and grabbed my buddy's 260 bolt, so same thing. Throw it in the gun, zero problems. Like the standard factory Savage bolt in this exact action, which this bolt is having a problem with, literally smooth as butter. You can throw it in here, run it, no problem. It's like how I remembered my old Savage. And for me to be able to even just do this, the only way that this bolt will slide, even currently, is if I have no sideways or up or down pressure on this thing, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. So if I was to just push home, like, it literally gets stuck the entire way. Like towards the back, once it's a bit more guided in, it's fine. And I think that's literally just because the bolt has such sloppy tolerance with its multi-piece design, and it rattles its way the whole way in. Once it gets guided a bit farther into the action, it's okay. But if I try and just rip on it, like, it's crazy. I've just never felt a gun like this. Like, I can hold the gun up with me pulling back on the bolt. You should not be able to do that. What a stupid design. So I wanted to make this video solely because of that, because out of 4 guns I looked at, they were all the same, this one included. It's terrible design. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's probably going to be the one and only review on the internet that just absolutely shit talks this rifle, and that's fine because it's my gun and I can say what I want about it. I'm not sponsored by Savage. And even if I was, I'd still say that because it's horrendous. Yeah, that was the main flaw. Regardless of that though, like out of the box, it says it's supposed to come with like a mid 3-pound trigger pull. We put a trigger gauge on it. I think it was low 4s, broke a bit heavy, took the stock off the gun, adjusted the trigger down. The AccuTriggers have been known to be pretty good. I've shot one in the past. My buddy has shot them as well. He's got like a 110 Elite right now with one in it. And his LRP had their super lightweight one in it. And they do break like quite nice for what they are. Like this one's back down to like just under 3 pounds, I think it was. It's pretty light. Like it's right where I would like a hunting trigger. But yeah. Overall, with this in the picture, I would say maybe avoid this gun. I mean, I haven't shot it yet, and we're gonna go do that. I'm waiting on, in 2 days time, I'll have a new scope for this rifle. So after it's been sitting for a year, I wasn't that stoked on it, honestly, so I never picked it up or touched it. It's been sitting in the safe. I will have a scope to go shoot this thing, and it'll be in like a hunting configuration. So if you're interested to see how it does on the range, I'm gonna do a video about that. This is just me giving my thoughts overall on the gun. Otherwise, I mean, you take the action out of the equation, what they did with it to lighten it up, this gun is pretty light. And I will say for like a lot of guns that are in this sort of weight class, like that's only like it balancing on my front finger and just my middle finger just to kind of give it some strength. See if I can do it there. But right at the front of the magazine, pretty solid balance point. Like that is a well-weighted rifle. With it being at 6 pounds, by the time you put a scope on it, if you put something that isn't gaudy, which a lot of people do, this rifle will sit like right in the low 7s with a scope on it. It'll be like 7.2, 7.4, somewhere in there. Put some ammunition in it, it'll be like 7.6, 7.7 sort of thing. So it'll be 7.5 pound gun in a full length barrel that you can rip around and go shoot stuff with, or at least carry with you. So pretty light, pretty cool. I just hope that it shoots, and I have a whole bunch of loads built up for it, and we're gonna run this thing through its gauntlet. Even behind me, I just finished loading a bunch of these, which I would like to shoot out of this gun. They're Tip Game Kings, one of the more accurate bullets I've used over the years. But we have a test batch of a whole bunch of different offerings, various weights. Like it's a 1 in 10 twist 308, so you're gonna get, it should do quite well from mid-weight bullets to higher weight bullets, and even probably some heavy bullets. It should be able to shoot some heavy stuff. So we got a whole bunch of stuff here. I hand loaded up to go do some group therapy with it. And I got 6 or 7 different offerings of factory loads for this. Plus I have some loads built up through my target rifle that we can shoot through this gun. And I really want to put this gun through its paces, because a lot of the reviews you see on them are 1 or 2 batches of factory ammo, and that's all you get. They'll bring a box or 2 of something that they like. They'll shoot it. It'll shoot a like pretty decent 1-inch group or less with a 3-shot. Maybe they'll get it in a 5. There are a few reviews I've seen on it. I actually want to take this thing and shoot it. Like break it in, clean it, put a bunch of factory through it, then test a whole bunch of different varieties of hand loads, all loaded wildly across the map. Different manufacturers, different powders, different speeds. Like there'll be tons of stuff just to see if this gun actually is worth the hype. And I know in a hunting caliber, like a 308, in the weight and the length that it is, I'd say it's pretty freaking cool. Otherwise I wouldn't have bought it. If this action would have come with a different bolt and this wasn't a problem, I would have had almost no bad things to say about it, except for the fact that I just don't like the stock. Some people might like the stock, but I'm just not a big like plastic guy. Like, give me a good old fashioned chunk of wood underneath this thing, even though it weighs a little bit more. Like, hike a little harder, it'll be fine. Like, feels way nicer in your hands. But I was looking to see if I could get a different stock for this thing, but yeah, I figure I'll wait to find out how well it shoots first, because buying another stock for this in Canadian dollars that isn't just like a cheapo, like a Boyd's or something, you're looking at like $900 to $1,700-$1,800 to put a stock on this thing, which is shitty because it's worth more than the gun, which doesn't seem worth it unless it shoots like a house on fire. Then maybe we'll make it cool. But regardless, that's my honest review of the Savage 110. I know we didn't take it out and shoot it or anything. Oh, actually, before I end this, there is one other thing I'd like to point out. It is a box magazine. It's got like a 4-round capacity. I got a story about the Savage 110 and their old magazine design before they decided to put this little push button in here. And basically, I was hunting with my dad opening day, high elevation, ripping down like a road. I just gone for a big hike. We were looking for a bear actually that day, and I did kill a bear that day. It was like one of 3 or 4 bears I ever shot with a gun, 6'2" or something. Anyways, in the transition over, we turn around a corner, and I got my old 243 110 with me. We turn a corner, and there's a wolf running right down the middle of the road, and it's like just bails off into the block. Stop, get out, grab the magazine. I rip over to the shoulder, trying to find him. There he is. Put the magazine in, click, aim at the wolf. Hey, yelled at him. He stopped. The wolf stopped perfect at like 80 yards, and I just squeezed the trigger on that wolf, and nothing happened. When I put the magazine in and like ran the bolt, the second I pulled the trigger, the magazine, like the front of those old magazines with their little clip, it didn't fully seat in, but it fit tight in the gun. So when I had it in there, it like, the bolt basically like skipped over the round because there was enough play for it to do that. And then when I pulled the trigger, the drop of the firing pin was enough of a jar that fell out. And I remember the magazine fell out of the gun, hit the ground, and then the wolf took off running. And that was just another like big X against the Savage, because in my mind, when I put that magazine in there, like, you should just be able to take a magazine on any gun and just like press it into place. And it did that, like you just saw. This one, even this one will do it. It's literally sitting in there right now, not totally set in, but it'll sit there until you bump it out. This one isn't nearly as bad, but you do actually have to apply like quite a bit of force to make it go in, and it's kind of good. It makes you make sure it's really in there, but it doesn't exactly gently just click into the gun either. But this one has been designed quite a bit better. It's not just a folding piece of plastic. It's actually like a little lock with a spring, so when you put the mag in, at least it has like some positive forward force to make sure it ain't gonna fall out. But yeah, I think that was about all I had to talk about. I never did show you the factory bolt handle. You could look it up in a different video. It's in that box in a plastic bag, but I did opt to put Tally lightweights on this thing. I have huge faith in Tallies. I've ran lots of different ring and base combos and dropped my guns and stuff when I'm eating crap hiking in the winter, and I've just never had a set of these let me down. Other guns, I've dropped them and they've hit the scope or something, and I've had point of impact shifts like 10-12 inches at times. With this year, I dropped my 260 a handful of times with me just like falling on it or something happening like that, where I have to like save myself, but then the gun eats the brunt of it. It's got a bunch of dings and scratches in it and all sorts of crap. It even has like a dent in the tube now on that scope, and these rings retain 0 on that gun like a house on fire. You can literally, like, that thing's seen more abuse than it should, and these rings don't change. When they're locked in and bolted down, it's one piece of metal. They literally cannot move because it's torsion fit to the action itself. Unless you bend them, like, that's the only way your stuff's gonna let you down. So had to go with Tallies. We're gonna put the same scope on it, and then we'll go shoot it, and hopefully it shoots well. regardless, it was a pretty good buy at 1,100 bucks. So it'll be fun to actually take it out and get to shoot it for a change. If you're interested in looking at one of these guns, hopefully to shed some light on the potential issue with the action itself. It's just the bolt's fault, in all honesty. It could be a little bit of like the Cerakote buildup that they put on this thing, but hard to say. I think honestly it's just the fluting job, and if you were to put a regular bolt in here, you would still have the same amount of slop the whole way, but it wouldn't have this aggressive, for no reason, like bolt body fluting job that just like is so awful. Yeah. But if you can get past that, and as long as you push on the gun on the bolt when you're running it like pretty symmetrically, like if I push it off the firing pin, it's pretty good every time. But if I try and run it, it gets pretty jank and stuck. So you just got to be mindful and actually like run the bolt with a pretty steady, straight down. I try to run it with my thumb mostly, so I'm pushing center more on the bolt. Because if I push on it out here, it just doesn't want to move. So, stupid fucking thing. Anyways, yeah. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. It's probably not what you were expecting when you clicked on the video, but that's a Savage 110. Beautiful piece of machinery and ingenuity strapped onto a boat anchor, in my opinion, but that's okay. It was cheap, and it'll probably still shoot really good. So, yeah, the next one, I'll wait for the scope to show up for a couple of days, and then we'll go and do some actual shooting with this gun, and I'll give you my thoughts of actually laying behind it and pulling the trigger and see what it does. And I know in theory the barrel should shoot like a house on fire. I think just through other people I know who have had similar setups, or even in some cases the same gun. In that regard, it should be pretty good. So hopefully that looked into some of the unanswered stuff about this. If you had any questions or concerns, I don't know if I had a one-off or what, but definitely not impressed. The gun itself is all right, but the action, pretty sad. Thanks for watching.